talked about the modern industrial world and how that brings out individualism.
Yeah.
So say London, for example,
Yeah.
also completely connected, interconnected, profiles on social media, and now I'm in a real modernized place. Does this pull out individualism more?
It's wild, right? So the first thing that happens when you think about the origins of cities, which are about 5,000 or 6,000 years old, they began in the Middle East and kind of spread from there, is that you start interacting in a world of strangers. And so no longer, can you imagine that every time you bumped into someone in London, you go, all right, who's your cousin, who's your father? Like to do this New Guinea game?
Yeah.
You'd never walk 5 feet. And so we've slowly over time, as cities started to develop, towns, villages, cities, we started to get used to strangers. And so then we become anonymous. And now for the first time in the history of our planet, we have privacy as a species. We can go into our own unit or a quiet place where nobody's around and do things that nobody knows about because we're anonymous in that context. People don't know me in London. I can do whatever I want to do and then leave. And so it freed us up and it created this world of privacy that had never existed before. And now, as you point out, fascinatingly, we're actually shifting back because now social media, so I misbehave and I come to your city and I vomit in your Uber and I mistreat your Airbnb and you give me a lousy review and suddenly Bill opens up, he gets on Facebook and he's being trashed by people who don't know him, but that's okay because they found me. And so my reputation follows me in a way that I could escape it. Basically for the last 10,000 years up until a few years ago, we lived in this new world and now we're suddenly shifting back.
Okay. And so what does that mean? I mean,
Well, it's both good and bad, right? So any change is both good and bad. I want my own privacy, but I do want to know that you're behaving yourself. And so I kind of like a lot of CCTV cameras out there in the world. And so when you try to blow up a train, it doesn't take the police long to track you right back to your house and now you're arrested. And so I don't have to worry about you blowing up another train. Like, that's a great thing. But it's not such a great thing if I'm now doing what ought to have been kind of a private action in my own home or outside on the street or whatever. You might know about this social credit scheme in China where
tell me.
Where if you jaywalk across the street, there's cameras that'll face recognize you and then you'll lose points. If you buy too many potato chips in the shops and so you're eating unhealthy food, you'll lose points. And so the social credit scheme, we think, but those are private actions, right? If you want to jaywalk and risk getting hit by a car, I kind of think that's your prerogative, right? It's chaos if everybody does it, so we try, if it gets too out of hand, we're going to make the laws stricter, but when the laws are the way they are, we're pretty happy. If you want to eat potato chips to your heart's content, I regard that as your privilege as well. And so suddenly we've got this kind of big brother type world. But in actuality, our hunter-gatherer ancestors lived in a Big Brother type world. It was that gossip we talked about already. That's basically Big Brother. And so the negative side is that sort of lack of autonomy and freedom. The positive side is the much greater relatedness. And the fact is, human beings don't behave very well when they're all on their own. I mean, think about all the things that you do in private versus all the things you do in public. It'd be a rare human being who does the exact same stuff, right? Even just walking around naked versus putting your clothes on. We try to look our best. And so you don't want a world where everybody feels like they can just do whatever they want. You got to have a world where we conform and follow rules. And so we're pushing back to gaining some leverage on that side.